All right, so in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to basically draw an object using the line string command, as well as manipulate some of the layers. So the focus here is to draw in the construction fence, and this could be any object. It could be silt fence, it could be buildings, it could be curb and gutter. I'm just going to start with something simple like the construction fence to give you an idea of some of the tools, right? So the advantages here is that I want to be able to turn off some of this information to make it easier to see what I'm doing. Now I could zoom in using my wheel mouse, and I can see where this construction fence starts, and I can roll out, and I can press my wheel and pan over. So what I'm doing here is just showing you how to zoom and pan, right? I could do that if I wanted to, or I could clean up this and make it a little easier to see by turning off layers that I don't need. So one way to do that is to select a line or an object that is on a layer. In this case, if I go to right click and go to properties, you'll see that it's on this layer PDF line work. Now you'll also notice that some of these other objects are on that same layer, but objects like this one are on different layers. They're on a hot pink layer. So what I could do is basically select that object and go to the view filter manager, and up top here I can basically say I only want to see layers of this object that's selected. So if I click this button, it turns off all the other layers and leaves on just the construction fence. Now it looks like everything else is on, but remember my image is still turned on. If I want to turn the image off on the view filter manager, I can come over here and toggle under georeference images and click that off. And you can see now I'm left with just the blue lines. And in this case, I can see the construction fence goes around my site. So it looks like my construction fence is completely on this layer with these other objects. So what we're going to do next is draw this line. So I'm going to go to my CAD tab, and I'm going to go to line string, and I'm going to create a new line. And this line, I'm going to name it construction fence. So you can see I've already typed in construction fence. And then I want to put it on a layer. Now right now my current layer is 0, or at least that's the layer that it's going to draw on. But I don't want to draw on that layer. I want to draw on a layer called construction fence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my focus in here, and I'm going to hit the space bar. And what that does, it brings up my layer manager where I can create new layers. And you can see it automatically creates a new layer called new layer 1. And I want to name this to construction fence. Now, I want to put these objects in a group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also create a layer group. So I'm just going to come in and call this construction fence. And I could prefix it. So I could come up and put a prefix in here, something like TO for takeoff, or STK dash for stake. Maybe I'm going to use this to stake objects out. I could also do something that would make sense in a conventional naming standard. So I'm just going to do TO for takeoff with an underscore construction fence. So that's what I'm naming the layer. I'm going to then give it a color. We'll color it magenta. I'm going to change the weight just to give it a little thickness to maybe 25. And then I'm going to protect it. Now we want to protect it so that when we do a drawing cleanup, we don't remove or delete that layer. So a protected layer won't be deleted unless you unprotect it and then delete it. Now a group layer is I want to organize these into groups. So right now I have no groups. So I'm going to basically hit the drop down, and I'm going to click on new. And over to the right, I'm going to be able to create a new layer group. So I'm just going to come in here and call this design, we'll just call it design objects. We'll just call it design. Design is fine. We're going to leave it that way. Because we'll also have another layer for existing, right? So existing or proposed. So maybe this is proposed. So that's fine. So I'm going to click close. I could organize them into groups based on, phases of construction as well. So it's totally up to you on how you want to do that. Again, this layer is being created because we don't have a layer. I want you to be able to understand how to make your own standard. So once I do that, I'm good there. I've got all this in as proposed. I'm going to hit close. It's going to go to that layer, and I'm going to click OK. Click. Yep. So it just take a second there. So now you'll see here that I'm in the edit line string command, and the first thing that shows here is that it's asking me for a starting point. All right, so you can see here I got starting point, and I can either enter in a coordinate, put in a point ID, or station offset. So I'm going to enter a coordinate, and I can either type the coordinate in, or what we're going to do is actually just pick on that coordinate. Now down here you can see it's asking us for an elevation. We're not going to do elevation. We're going to do this as a 2D. So what I want to do is I want to toggle this auto advance to off. So you can see white is it's actually on. So when I click on it, it's yellow. It's off now. So if I want to turn it on, that's what that tooltip is showing you, is to click on it, you're going to turn it on. So it's turned off. So when I actually come over here, and you'll see that now I've got these little glyphs that snap to the end of the line. So if I come in here, and you can see it's orange. So it's green right now. It's not, if I pick, it's going to pick where my crosshairs are. If I come up to where it's orange, and I pick, it's going to snap right to the end of that line. And you'll notice that it automatically advanced us to pick our next segment. So what I can do is I can come over here, and I can do the same thing. Snap to that point, snap to that point. I can come over here. It looks like I can go to there, and it looks like we make a turn here. So probably comes in like this, and probably I would say goes in here somewhere. Again, I probably don't have to be this specific with it, but I'm basically just joining, these lines here. So I'm just going to trace this silt fence around. And I'm doing this because my drawing cleanup wouldn't work really well, because the gap between these lines is quite large. So somewhere in here, it looks like we got another line. And that's probably good enough. And I can come over here, do the same thing, pick this point. So you can see here that maybe I want to pick, well, actually the line is here. So I'll go ahead and pick that point there. And I made a mistake. I picked the wrong point. So what you can do at this stage is just hit cancel. And that goes back to this point right here. So if I left click once, it frees up that point and asks me for a new coordinate. So now I can come in here and pick the proper point, and now it advances to the next, or grabs that point. To continue drawing, you have to come over here and add a segment after the last segment. So I got to click on this button here, and now you'll see that it gives me a coordinate, and that's where my cursor is. And I can come in here and I can snap to these lines. All right, so again, I'm just following this construction fence around, grabbing and tracing this object. So in here, I can eyeball in that it's probably should be the corner there. And just continue up here, same thing. Here is probably a good spot right there. And then again, I'm eyeballing in where that point is there. You can see I messed up again. Oops. So I'm going to hit cancel. And what I can do here now is delete that segment. So if I click on this, it removes the current segment. The current segment is the one that's red. And now I remove that. Now I can edit this. So I'm going to left click to move it. And I'm just going to come in. I'm just going to pick a point here, making sure that I don't have any orange glyphs. Okay. And then I'm going to come up, and I can come up and close it. Now, if I'm here, you'll see that now it comes up to that point. Well, what I can do is just click on auto close. So now it closes that line. So now I've drawn in the construction fence. Now, if I select the fence, so it's line string construction fence, and go to properties, I can see here exactly what the length is. So I don't have to run a report. I could just grab that length, and that's going to tell me what the length is. Also shows you the area of the entire object itself. So from the properties, I can get some basic takeoff information just by drawing a line segment. I could pick any line. So if I pick this line here, that is also going to tell me the total length of that object. So even though I didn't digitize it, right here I can tell that, the concrete for my curb island or my pump island here shows my area for that concrete. So I can get some real quick numbers just in a 2D takeoff by drawing objects and using this line string command. All right.